Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Nick, and this is MSFS Flight Plans. I wanted to upload a quick video, real quick video, just to share some breaking news with you guys. It will change the channel a little bit, it will change my life a lot, and I think both probably for the better, quite a bit better. But let me show you where we're going real quick before I get into that, just in case you like what you're seeing outside, you want to check it out for yourself. We are in Jacksonville, and see if you can figure out what I'm about to reveal to you as we do this. I'm in a 172. Taking off from pretty close to where I live. I don't want any stalkers, so I won't show you where my house is, but I live in the south side of Jacksonville, which is what they call this over here. This is not south side over here. This would be Orange Park. But this little airport here is a private place that is pretty close to my house. I always see people flying over, landing over there. So we're going to take off here, which is where we took off for our Jacksonville tour flight. We're going to cut across the St. Johns River and come on down here to Hurlong Recreational. And because the wind's blowing from this direction, we'll cruise over here and land on runway 7. So that's the plan of attack. I probably won't upload the flight plan. We're just flying around Jacksonville. Let's leave it at that. And it'll probably be a pretty quick flight, only 20 miles to get across there. We're going to have a favorable wind as we're doing that. But let's get up in the air real quick, and I'll tell you what's going on. Can you guess yet? Let's get up in the air. So as you guys know, the dream of all simmers, I would think, is probably, one, the chance to just get in a small aircraft at some point, maybe even a big aircraft. Fly it around, see what it's like. If you feel like you want to step it up even a little bit more, you might decide that you'd like to try to get your PPL, which is your private parts. You might want to get those too. Private pilot's license. And maybe even take it up to commercial, make a career out of it if you want to. And you know, I always say that I think we're going to save the world through simming, and if nothing else, I just hope to give people a real enthusiasm for aviation, which hopefully I've done if you've been around the channel for a while. But over the years now that we've been doing this, we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary. I think May 28th was when I uploaded our very first flight. I have mentioned many times that I would love to get my PPL. It was just a matter of time and financial resources, really, for me for the longest time. But a few months back, I think I mentioned it when we were taking that tour out in Austria over the Eagle's Nest, Hitler's little vacation spot he had up there in the Alps. I mentioned that I had come across a guy who found me through the channel and happened to mention he lived here in Jacksonville. Brian's his name. He's a certified flight instructor who took me up flying for the first time in a Cessna 172, just like this one, although it was quite a bit older than this one, I would guess. And he even let me do quite a bit of flying, which was just incredible. He got his CFI and was looking for a flight school to be a part of. We left from Craig Field, which is off to the left of our nose right now. We'll probably be able to see it here in just a minute. We'll see all these towers sticking up. It's not too far from those. Let's come this way a little bit so we can see downtown Jax. This would be it right over here. This is where we took off from on that trip. And he is now hooked up with a place on the other side of the river. And the owner of that flight school is a really, really cool guy who you will definitely get to meet. And he said that that guy is who, I won't even mention his name because you'll get to meet him on the other channel that I'm going to be a part of starting. So he said he would like to have a little bit of a YouTube presence, but didn't really know how to get going with that. And I said, boy, I'd love to become a pilot, and I don't really know how to get going with that. And it was just a match made in heaven. He's about my age, just a couple years older than me, both born in New England. He's from Rhode Island. Both have day jobs in the financial industry, which is just incredible. Both drummers. It's amazing how much we had in common. We just really hit it off. I went and talked to him last week, and so I'm going to help him start a YouTube channel, really to help him market the school. But to get going, I thought, what better way to do that than have someone come from the world of simming, getting into becoming a private pilot, and just really documenting what that whole experience is like. So that's precisely what we're going to be doing over there. And as the channel evolves and matures, we'll be doing all kinds of incredible things. He has a 172, a Warrior, and an old school Cub from the 1940s tail dragger, which is awesome. So I think we're going to actually film it in his hangar with the Cub as a backdrop, which is just beyond awesome. But we'll get into what it's like. I'm going to ask all the questions. I'm going to be completely raw about it, hopefully for something that people that would be new students would watch to see what it's like, all the questions, fears, concerns, what that evolution is like, what it takes to do it. I'm going to give all you guys the blow-by-blow of that as far as in-flight footage. We'll have the radio communications on there, what it's like for the test prep, all the steps you have to go through to do it. And then, of course, we'll be bouncing back on this channel as well. I'm not going to let this go because I love this so much. But I'm not going to be able to research flights like we've been doing for at least a couple months because I have already started studying the ground school stuff to take the FAA written exam, which is kind of the first hurdle that you need to cross. So what I think I'll be doing on this channel, if it's a real short flight that I just really want to check out, maybe a little helicopter tour or something, we'll hop in and do that kind of stuff. But what I'd like to do is get Brian in the cockpit with me, so he can be just watching from live stream, but it'll be like he's in the cockpit. You'll hear his audio as well. And I'll actually be practicing a lot of the stuff here in the sim that I'm also practicing in real life, because I want you guys to feel as realistically as possible what that's like. And I think that would just be so awesome, because I really wish there was something like that that I could just watch as a new student. It'd be so cool to see that. Never mind someone that is coming from the sim world. And just to give you guys an idea of how deeply embedded I am, I haven't been like seriously simming for a long time. I got back into it after 2020 came out, so I was probably flying around for about 2 years before I started this channel. And I can't see how many hours I don't think that I had in 2020 anymore because I uninstalled it, but it was around 3,000 when I got out. 3,000 hours of simming, and I probably got another 700 hours in 2024. So that's a lot of time in all kinds of different aircraft, and I was thinking, oh, this is just going to be a breeze after. I mean, I've flown pretty much every kind of airplane that's out there, pretty familiar with at least how they work, where the gauges are, what they do, how to control the avionics, even airliners and stuff, although we haven't done that on this channel. I went through a big airliner phase when I was in career mode. But I got to tell you guys, there are some things that are quite a bit different once you start looking at the material that you need to be aware of. And mainly, it won't surprise you to hear that it's just the stuff that you don't really think about when you're having to fly. Let's level out a little bit here. So as far as, what I haven't flown in the plane yet under, as a student, but I'm sure that's going to be very different as well. I can tell you when I was flying that 172 with Brian earlier, one of the big things that jumped out at me is how hard it is to work the controls. I've got a Honeycomb Alpha yoke right now. Very, very different when you can actually feel the forces of the wind on the pedals and the yoke. Very different. So that's going to take a little bit of getting used to. As far as kind of the seat of the pants feel, that is definitely different, and I think probably helps a lot in flying in real life. We can feel the physics and the gravity forces as you're flying around. Really looking forward to that. But as far as where I'm at right now, if you're curious, I have started the ground school portion, and the guy that owns the flight school recommended I go with the Sporties ground school. You've probably all heard of Sporties if you've ever looked at real-life aviation stuff. And they have a program that, he said $250, but I think they probably raised the prices recently. It was $299 to start that, and it is very comprehensive and very, very well done. And if you're just curious about what it would take to get all the basics of flight down, that would be a good place to start if you have $300 to burn, because it's been cool. And let's see, so I had the, just kind of, I understand how airplanes work, so there was nothing shocking in there about that. I did 2 years of a meteorology major at Florida State while I was out there, and there's quite a bit devoted to meteorology. So nothing new for that, except for reading weather charts. I don't spend a lot of time reading weather charts, and it's been a long time since I looked at them, and you need to know how to do that pretty well. One thing that I'm a little bit nervous about, I haven't felt much overload until I got to deciphering METAR reports, because if you've ever looked at just a raw METAR report and you didn't know how to decipher it, it would be very difficult. I don't know if you even could do it. And so there's all kinds of different abbreviations for things, and some of them don't make a lot of sense if you just look at what the acronyms are. So that's going to take a little bit of work, and then just the regulations, things like that. Of course, I've got all kinds of financial licenses, and that's all the boring stuff that you never think about again, except when you have to take a test. So going through all the regulations, a little bit of effort with that. And then just radio traffic. I never have radio traffic on here, so, calling ATC and things like that. I was a little nervous about that, but after watching tons of videos online of people doing it, and there's tons and tons of stuff about how to talk to air traffic control. And this is an untowered field that we're coming into, which I've now learned is definitely different than when you're coming into a towered field. You have to do a lot more call-outs for where you are. So that'll be new and different. Really looking forward to all of it. But I think the big takeaway that I hope you guys will find value in is just seeing what that experience is like, because, as we all get older, it gets a little bit cheaper to live. Kids move out of the house. You get things paid off. Hopefully you guys will decide that you want to do something like this too. And I'm going to show you what it's going to take to do that. I'm going to pick it up a little bit and just trim her down some. So I think we've got a wind that's coming from... Oh, geez. Well, that's not what the METAR said. The little nav map is showing something different unless the winds have shifted. All right, I might just come on into runway 25 then instead of 7, because I think we'll probably be okay. We're going to have a little bit of a headwind doing that, which will shorten this up a little bit, which is great. So initially what we're kind of thinking about, and when I was talking to the owner of the flight school about it, I said, I think you've got a real big opportunity here, because what you usually see as guys that come from, if they're going to try to break into the YouTube space, they come from the aviation world, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with a lot of the big channels that I always watch from real-life pilots. I could probably name off 10 of them, and you'd recognize every single one of them. But when you come from the aviation world into YouTube, even the guys that have really big channels, with a couple of exceptions, don't really have the skills to make it as good as it could be, I think, if you came from the YouTube world and then tried to break into the aviation space, which is what we're going to be doing here. So we're going to come out of the gate swinging as far as content, recording quality, the visual aspects of it all. We'll see how it comes together. But initially we're going to do the thing that he can use, even if we wind up not doing it long term, as kind of a thing for new students that are curious about what the experience with that particular flight school is like, and just general stuff that students need to be aware of. So that's how we're going to start. We'll have Brian will be a part of it, and he'll be the owner of the flight school, so you get the perspective of the pilot. His CFI, Brian will be my CFI, and then the owner of the flight school, who's kind of controlling everything, so you can get into the details of aircraft ownership, what it's like to try to rent planes, what the costs are, all that kind of stuff, all the medical stuff that's involved with that. And maybe you're thinking about opening a flight school someday. You might find that interesting as well. And I haven't really seen anything out there on YouTube that has those three components. There's plenty of stuff with CFIs out there, kind of talking about tips and pointers and what it's like from the CFI's perspective. There's some stuff from a student's perspective, but none that have the student and his CFI as they're going through the program and the owner of the flight school, which I think is going to be a delicious little cocktail. Let me see here. I'm just trying to pick where that field is. Okay, it's over this way some. That's Interstate 10 running off in the distance right there, which runs all the way to LA from here. If you saw our LA flight, that's where that ends. LA, and out here in Jacksonville, I-95 marks the end of that, which starts heading from Miami all the way up to Maine. So that's the plan of attack, guys. And I'm just looking down here because I haven't really taken a close look at... Jacksonville actually looks pretty good, way better than it did in 2020, that's for sure. And if you're from this area and you want it to look even better, RK Bridger, you know how much I love him. He's one of the modders. Finally did a bridge pack out here, which I have not gotten because it came out right after we did that Jacksonville flight. But I bet it looks amazing now, and I may pick it up just because I'm going to be flying around out here a lot. So when we're doing all of the training stuff here in the sim with Brian, I'll probably be flying around this area because I really want to familiarize myself with the visual landmarks in the area as well. But here's where I need you guys' help. We want to post stuff up there that you guys would find really cool and really interesting. So let me know as we're going along the kind of things that you would love to hear about, would love us to talk about. And he has 3 different flight instructors there right now. We'll probably cycle through them to get some different perspectives as we're going along. But again, overall, I think it's going to be awesome. So there will probably be a little bit more spacing in between my videos for a while. No, I'm not shutting the channel down. Yes, I still intend to get back to what we traditionally do here on the channel. Tours and things like that. But I've got to tell you, now that I have gone through even the ground school, I'm a little bit more self-conscious about someone that's a professional. I never thought about it before. Someone that's a pilot in real life watching this and how they might analyze what I'm doing. And I'm feeling very self-conscious right now about the things I already know that I don't know, which I didn't know before I started. And by the way, before, just incidentally, I even started getting into this, I picked up a book off of Amazon. I was just looking for good books about aviation, just because I was in between books and didn't really know what I wanted to read. And there's a book that was written in the 1940s called Stick and Rudder. And I'm listening to it, actually, and I bought the hard copy, the hardback copy, because I thought it was so good. It's about a 12-hour read on Audible, if you're just going to listen to it. Written in the 1940s, and it's all just about the basic mechanics of flight, written from the perspective of not an engineer as much as a pilot from the 1940s, which was the raw days of just hardcore aviation, all those guys coming back from the war. I highly recommend you check that out. If you're serious about simming and want to learn just better control of the aircraft and what's going on in different scenarios and all that, definitely check that out. I think it was $15 for the hard copy, and if you have Audible, it's free right now. So check that out, pick it up. This airport, interestingly, was also set up during the war, and I was talking to the owner of why they have so many runways out here. I think 2 of them may be active and open. You'll see the others when we get close have big X's on them. The one going off to the left have X's on them, and that's used for the police with helicopter practice, I think. And then there's a gun range right around the corner from this that I used to be a part of. You can hear them shooting from the other side of it. But they have these runways going all these different directions so that they could always land regardless of which way the wind was blowing out here fairly easily. And I don't know if they were using this for training. I better figure that out, or I wouldn't be living up to the theme of our channel here. All right, let me gain a little altitude. I can already see from here the pappies are saying I'm low, and I feel a little bit low. So maybe we'll just hold this for a little bit. But I never thought about practicing stalls in the sim. I mean, I've done it a couple times just to say that I did it. And I'm doing it all the time now. Steep turns, things like that. landings, proper landings, which I was often not doing. But it's fun, and it's really cool. So let's just get this baby down. I'm trying to think of anything else that I wanted to tell you guys. I had all kinds of things I wanted to tell you about, but now I'm concentrating so hard on just getting this thing down that I can't think of it. So we will be recording in the hangars, which are off to the right. You can see him just beyond that first white building there. That's where all of his hangars are. His office is in that white building that's in front of the hangars. That's where the Cub is. His 172 is outside, and I think he might be getting his Warrior painted or something right now. And wait till you see some pictures of the 172. It's got Air Force One livery on it. And you know how much I love a good livery. A lot. I don't like the standard little ribbons or whatever they usually put on the side of these things. It's a pretty cool looking plane. And I haven't been inside of it yet, so I don't know what kind of if it's... I don't think it's a glass cockpit. Not for a trainer, but we're going to find out pretty soon, aren't we? Anyway, guys, once I get the first videos loaded up for that, I'll let you know when they're coming. We'll probably record a few just so we can record an intro and all that stuff, make sure everything's working properly, and then post the first few of them all at once. And then we'll just be rocking and rolling. So I'll let you guys know on this channel when that's happening so you can check it all out. I don't want you to miss any of that because it's probably going to be absolutely amazing. And with that, that's all I have for now, guys. Stay tuned. Oh, there's a little bit of a crosswind for us. I can't wait to see you all again in the skies. Maybe literally next time. Later.